Hey guys, welcome back to another episode in the Deep Learning with Tensorflow series. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys how to use Google Colab to run your Python code. Google Colab is basically a service provided by Google that allows you to run Python notebooks or Jupyter notebooks, which are basically just blocks of code. And in this case, it runs on the cloud, so it's running on Google's hardware, not your hardware. So it makes it really easy to get started. You can run it on any machine. You just log in with your Google account. And then a lot of the stuff that you need as well in terms of the libraries, like TensorFlow, is already installed for you, which is really great as well. So first of all, just search up Colab, then go to the first link, colab.research.google.com, and you should see something like this. You probably need to sign in with your Google account if you're not already. And so from here, you can choose some examples. You can open up some example notebooks. You can look at your recent notebooks. You can create a new notebook. Let's do that. So the first thing that you can do is give your notebook a name. So you could say something like Introduction to Colab or whatever you want to call it. It will automatically save for you, which is great. And then from there, what you can do is make new code blocks or text blocks. So you can run some test code if you want to. You could do something like print hello Colab. Let's run that. So what this will do is connect to the Google's, backend in the cloud and all that stuff and initialize a runtime for you. And this will allow you to actually run your code. And then once it's done, it'll just automatically run it as we saw. So this is the output of this particular code block here. So we can run it again. Tells you how long it took to run. Pretty simple overall. So that's a code block, and you can add as many as you want. And the reason that you have different code blocks is that you can run them independently. So sometimes you want to run one piece of code once, and then sometimes you want one piece of code to run multiple times, so you could just keep running it. So for example, you could import a dataset in this code block, and then you could run this code to preprocess the dataset. Just having that is really cool because previously with regular Python files, you just have it all in one file, and you have to run the entire file to run your code. So it allows you to run your code in a way where you don't have to run it all at once, which is really cool. So besides code blocks, you also have text blocks, which is good for documentation. And this is using Markdown behind the scenes. It's just a text format for text files, basically. So you could do something like this is a title, and then it should give you a preview for that. So here we go. This is a title. Oops. Double click to go back into that. And then you could have some regular text like I am a potato. So now that should reflect. There we go. And if you want to, if you're not familiar with Markdown, you could just use these things at the top here, which will automatically, do it for you. So pretty simple. You could add links, you could have images, whatever you need. So that's how you can write your code and add documentation to your Google Colab notebooks. I recommend putting all of these in a safe place in your Google Drive so that you can refer to them later. And also make sure you actually use the text block so you can write documentation, write notes, so that when you come back to your code, you can actually understand what it does a little bit better. So we saw that when we tried running this first code block here, it spun up a runtime environment for us, which basically just connects to Google's cloud. And if we go to runtime, we can see a bunch of information here. One of them is, for example, manage sessions. And we can see all of our runtime sessions that we have with Google Colab. So we only have one right now. So this is the one that we have currently. And if you have multiple notebooks open, it'll show multiple. So if you want to, you can kill the session. So that will terminate the connection to the Google Cloud. And if you rerun this, it will automatically reconnect. Another thing that you can do is go to runtime and then change runtime type. And here you can change between Python and R if you want to use R. And then also more importantly is the hardware accelerator, which is the hardware type of the runtime that you're connected to. Now, if you're using Google Colab for the first time, you're going to have the free version of this. So you're probably going to only have CPU and T4, I believe. But if you pay for the premium version of Google Colab, which is $10 a month, you get access to more powerful hardware. So for example, the A100 GPU is a very powerful GPU that can make your deep learning neural networks run much faster or train them much faster. And I'll be showing you guys how to do that in a future video. So basically with that said, whether you're on the free version or the premium version, you can select different hardware types depending on what you're doing. So if you're doing something very simple, you probably just need a CPU, but if you're doing something a little more advanced and you want it to run a little faster, it may make sense to use a GPU because deep learning runs faster on GPUs usually. So what you do is you just click it, click OK, click Save, and now what this will do is kill your current runtime and reconnect with the new hardware. There's a bunch of other things you can do. For example, you can copy your current notebook by doing save a copy and drive. So it literally just makes a copy. That's another useful thing that you can do. Another really useful thing is that you can upload files as well, because very often you're going to be working with public data sets. And this is useful because sometimes you may download a data set and you want to use it in your notebook, right, to do machine learning. So you can already see that there's some sample data here, which is very useful, like MNIST test or training. You can double click it to view a preview of the data, which is very useful. There we go. So it's just a bunch of zeros. because it's just pixel data pretty much. But yeah, if you want to upload your own data, all you got to do is pretty much just drag and drop it into this window here. But something that you have to be aware of is that the data will only exist as long as your runtime exists. So whenever your runtime is killed, whether you're changing the runtime type or just when you stop using the notebook, you will lose the data that's uploaded to here. It's only temporary. So just make sure that you have the data saved somewhere safe on your computer so you can re-upload it. And that's pretty much the main features of Google Colab that I think will be useful to you to get started in this series here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace.